welcome back, everybody, to the Derby City Fandom podcast. Today, gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a minute. I'm not dead this time.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. But yes, Happy New Year's to whoever happens to be listening. Today, we are going to be talking about something that came out back in November. Just now getting around to it due to holidays and illnesses. But we are going over The Penguin, the DC HBO series that I was surprised was as close to a almost direct sequel to the Patterson Batman. Pattinson. Thank you.
Yeah, I was surprised with that too.
I like it picks up like a
pretty
week after the movie or something like that.
I'm pretty sure it's immediately after. I don't think it's less than a week, maybe even a day or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's actually an interesting take for sure. You want to dive right into it?
Sure.
Shall we get into my favorite part?
Oh, yes. Your favorite part. Colin, where did this show land ratings-wise?
As of lately, IMDb has a whopping 8.7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe it. I could see people really liking this series.
Yeah. Just about every episode just rated well. It was just well produced, I thought. The acting seemed to be on point.
That's the highlight for me, was the acting and the casting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing that jumps out is Colin Farrell's performance, right? So
yeah. Colin did super well. I think Sophia's Christine
Melody.
Yeah. Did a fantastic job as well, especially in the scene where they go kind of like in depth with Arkham in particular.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you saw, I don't know if you saw that, Kenny, but those particular episodes that had the scores, episode 4 and then episode 8 were the highest scored ones. I believe episode 4 was...
It is the Arkham episode.
The Arkham episode, exactly. And then obviously the 8th episode was by far the...
Yeah, well, the last episode just ended it perfectly.
Beautifully, yeah. Like 9.5, I believe that score was for the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Shit, we're going to get into some detail about it, but Colin Farrell, all of those actors and actresses, they did a wonderful job. And what's his name? Theo Rossi. I don't know if y'all remember him or ever seen Sons of Anarchy, but he plays a character from that show. So
yeah, he was in Sons, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely in Sons. He played Juice.
Okay.
Yeah, so if
familiar.
you're a Sons of Anarchy fan like I am, Juice, he's a good character, one of my favorite characters, but he ends up fucking some shit up, and he ends up getting killed. But I'm pretty sure he gets killed. Yeah, he gets killed. But anyway, I digress. Moving on into the Penguin. First thoughts, first episode. What'd you all think?
I think I kind of already spoiled it. I was surprised that it was like so close to the movie, just in terms of like timeline. Like it just happened, so you're seeing like the direct effect of everything.
Yeah.
So we get to see more of Gotham just being like your shithole city that everybody kind of knows and loves it to be. It's just filled with crime. It has some good things here and there, but it's like your conglomeration of all of like your bad qualities of a city.
Yeah. In that episode, we're introduced to a lot of characters, like the Falcones, and we're introduced to Victor, who, I thought he was a good side character. I don't know if he's in the comics or not.
He's not.
I didn't think he was. But yeah, I thought the actor who played him, I think his name's, what's his name?
Renzi
Feliz.
Feliz, yeah.
He did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually looked identical to a colleague at work but we won't go into that for me. But yeah, Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely liked the first episode. I like the episodes in the beginning better than the episodes in the end.
Okay.
Personally. But I agree 100% with you, Kenny. I initially watched it, and it starts right off after the movie. I was like, ooh, do I need to stop this and rewatch the movie? I ended up not doing that, but it crossed my mind immediately. I was like, ooh, I think I might have to stop this and rewatch the movie. Did you rewatch the movie?
I did not, but
Yeah,
it's
I
like
didn't
the
either.
only thing that I had to kind of like go back and like contextualize is like, okay, the Riddler is like going after all of like the elites of the society or whatever. But then he just kind of like destroys like the poorest neighborhood just kind of randomly.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and kind of re-familiar.
Refamiliarize.
Thank you. Get caught back up on
Yeah.
all that.
I really like the first few episodes, the character development, get to know all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was more of a fan. I was a fan of the whole series, but I was more a fan of the first half than the second half, which I'm sure we'll talk about more.
Sure. So, first impressions of the Penguin as like a character, Colin.
Well, I mean, from the comic books, well, actually, from Danny DeVito, from what I remember, we'll start there. Danny DeVito was my first introduction to the Penguin, really, for the most part. Obviously, the comic books a little bit, and then a little bit of the animated Batman series, but really, that was my first live action introduction to the Penguin, and I just kept reverting myself back to his take, and then seeing Colin Farrell's take on it, and I was just like, wow,
Completely different.
It's two whole different worlds. Like, I don't know, I feel like the Danny DeVito Penguin was more of a comic relief kind of.
He's comically evil.
Comically evil, sure, let's go with that. I don't disagree, but the whole Colin Farrell take is 100% that Sopranos vibe, that mobster kind of go get him, like, fucking work with somebody, but then end up, backstabbing him essentially. And, it was just a fun ride, the entire series. I enjoyed it. I mean, I think Colin Farrell, like, if you saw any of, like, behind the scenes kind of stuff for that series, it's wild. The amount of prosthetics, makeup, and all of that that he had to endure was like hours of sitting in a chair, like people adding all this shit.
Oh, they
to
redesigned his face entirely.
100%, and it's just like, my God, it's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
It just baffles me. He looks nothing like him. It was just so cool, and I was just like, dude, I think I'd be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
Probably not, but whatever. I don't know. It was fun.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think the casting was really good, especially Colin Farrell. I mean, he knocked it out of the park. It was really good. How he looked, how he dressed, how he acted, his accent.
Yeah, like he
Proper
has
Italian.
an Irish
man.
actor who, like, just in normal day to day has an Irish accent. It's clear, it's obvious, but when he's in character with whatever role he's playing, if it calls for some other accent, I think he's able to pull it off. And with this, that kind of Chicago, Gotham, Italian kind of
It's
mobster
like New
vibe.
York, Chicago, Detroit.
Yeah.
Like that's
Throw a little
what
Pittsburgh
Gotham
in
is.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely pulled it off for sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you would call it a gripe, but one thing that kind of stood out to me is that this Penguin isn't even really referred to as the Penguin, like hardly at all, like throughout the entire show.
There was
Few
some
times.
nods at it.
There's a few times
And
where
it's always derogatory.
he didn't like being called that. That was actually stated by
I kind of
a
like
handful
that,
of
though.
individuals.
You didn't care for it? That was more of a critique on your part?
Well, it's just that, okay, the comic book Penguin, Oswald Chesterfield Cobblepot is like his full name. He grew up, and similar to how like this show kind of set it up, like single mom kind of set up, didn't really have any like siblings. We'll bring that up later. But just all the stuff that kind of happens that develop him into being like the kind of thug mobster of Gotham. You don't get his like trademark beak, so to speak, his trademark nose. We don't really see him in his like suit and tie tuxedo, which is why a lot of people call him that.
Yeah.
We also don't see the umbrella.
Nope.
Yeah. I do agree with you on the umbrella, and I agree with you on the suit and tie. I think I was disappointed not kind of seeing that a little more. They kind of played with it at the very end, but I was fine with them with how they treated like the whole penguin. It was just kind of like a nickname.
Oh yeah, they definitely
insult nickname that people.
Yeah, they still gave him his weird walk, and that's why people called him the penguin, because he waddled every once in a while.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty clever. His car. Did you guys like his car? I don't know.
Car's a classic, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I agree, but I disagree with you on the whole suit thing. Like, yes, he didn't wear, from what we know as the Penguins,
like get up,
right? But he wasn't dressed down. He definitely had that suit kind of vibe.
He made sure that people knew that he had money.
Yes, and so like that's why I was like, okay, that's okay with me. That's not really a gripe. Like that was just whatever.
Yeah, but they definitely kind of took the comically evil, just conniving, super rich mob guy and turned him into like a Godfather Sopranos character, and it just works out super well for the I guess for the overall theme for this particular
series,
Batman universe.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
where everything's kind of dark and gritty, just like right out the gate.
Yeah,
it is grim.
It is grim.
It's
there are
grim
very few shots in this entire
universe.
Show that are done in the daytime.
The movie was like that too.
Yeah,
it's pretty grim.
And not just that. Like it's dark and it's raining. There's a lot of episodes where it clearly had rained or is raining in that particular scene, and so like. You're absolutely right. That was kind of the vibe they were wanting to go for, is that dark, grim, whatever ambiance, if you will. But at the same time, like, I did want to see a little bit of daylight. Like, I want like, because mobsters don't just work at night. They pretty much do, like, round the clock kind of stuff. And so it would have been nice to see that. But it's not really a huge gripe for me, like you are making it sound out to be.
Call it a critique, I suppose. But we get a lot of setup in the first episode. The second episode, we kind of delve more into the family.
Yep. Well, which one?
Falcones, I suppose.
Yes. What'd y'all think about the Falcons?
Oh, God, it's twisted. All of them are just terrible.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
So the actor that played... Carmine, his name is, I just looked at it, Mark Strong. I don't know if y'all ever saw Starship Troopers, but every time I saw him, I don't know, I was just getting a flashback to that particular movie. But y'all never saw Starship Troopers?
No, I did. I'm just trying to think of
I didn't realize
where you're going with it.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going with it.
No, I was just bringing it up. That's a movie that he was in. The first time I ever saw that actor was in Starship Troopers.
Ah, okay. Makes
Sorry,
sense.
that was not. That may have been a little confusing.
Excuse me.
I mean, they did a good portrayal of the Falcons, I think. I mean, I think they all did a good job. It's just your stereotypical, classical
It becomes
Italian
the
mob.
Sopranos.
You know what I mean? That's what I was expecting, and that's what they gave.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. I liked it. You know? No complaints there.
We see Sophia resurface, and her just being bitter.
Oh yeah,
very bitter, understandably bitter.
Well, you find out why. Yeah, well, I actually really liked her plot, because the entire time I'm trying to figure out, like, man, was she thrown under the bus? Is she a little crazy? Is she a little cuckoo? And you're trying to like piece together like, did she actually do it? I don't think she did. But did she do it though? There's like a little part in your back of your mind. You're like,
the
do I trust
correct
this
answer
character?
to that is yes for the majority of what you just said, and then maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So I really liked her plot line. I think that's probably why everyone liked the Arkham, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I almost said Azkaban.
Nope. Nope.
But that
different.
episode with Arkham, I was like, I can see why people really like that episode because her plot line was really what.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. I was probably more. I don't want to say I was more interested in her story as opposed to Penguin's, but it was close. It was close. I really enjoyed watching her character development.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the only reason that he was relevant is because he was her driver back in the day, and so they kind of had a history, and once that metaphorical door opened for him to jump up the tier there,
Mm-hmm.
he took advantage of it, and that's when she basically was kicked off to the side and sent to Arkham. So he then made a name for himself essentially, and
yep,
got it in.
Made
with
a name for himself. Became the basically the best drug producer for the Falcons, and working all out of the Augsburg lounge.
Yeah. Had a relationship with both the Falcons and the Maloneys. Woo! Let's talk about the Maloneys.
Oh man, the father, what's his name?
Sal.
Oh gosh, he did such a good job with his role.
Actually, I hated
Brown.
him. I hated him.
You didn't like
no,
him?
No. I liked him.
Okay.
But like, it's kind of like the Game of Thrones, Joffrey. Kind of like, I fucking hated this guy because he was doing a good job.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not as much as Joffrey, but
Yeah.
to that.
It's another like one of those weird things where like you got like the side prison for like important people that aren't insane, like Blackwater Gate or something. Blackgate, Blackwater,
Blackgate.
And just how he's able to kind of just do whatever.
Yeah.
Seemingly is just like, okay, yeah, I know I'm in jail. Y'all aren't going to do anything to me. I got all the connections in the world. So you can either make this comfortable for me or I can make life hell for you.
Yeah.
So he just kind of chills and vibes in his little jail. But when Oswald comes up to him and gives him back the ring, that kind of sets everything back in motion.
Interesting. Did I mix them up? I may have mixed them up. I may have mixed Falcone and Maloney.
Okay.
One of them
How's
is
that?
from Starship Troopers.
That's what I was saying. I was confused.
I'm
I was like,
mixing
I don't
them up.
think he's in Starship Troopers, but whatever.
It may be Maloney. Whatever.
Who do you think was in Starship Troopers? Let's just clarify this for everybody. We
Well, I'm
were
starting
talking
to second guess myself.
We were
I think
talking about Mark Strong earlier, right?
Yeah. No,
See,
I
I
had
don't
that
remember
back.
him on Starship Troopers. but
No, it's
Clancy
it's
Brown
Maloney.
might be.
Yeah, it's that dude.
All right, I'll look it up.
Okay.
I
Doing
fuck-
some research on the fly. All right.
I fucked that up. I'm sorry if I fucked that up. Language.
We're good. We're far enough in.
What'd you all think of Victor?
Oh
Since-
my gosh, you are right.
Is it Maloney?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, and
Clan-
he is a young Clancy Brown.
Yeah. All right. See, I know my shit, but I was just mixing up actors. It's fine. No big
But
deal.
Victor's character is,
He's the sergeant.
Yep.
yeah.
That is wild. Oh my gosh, that's a good catch, Colin.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Yeah. Whoa.
But Victor's character is an interesting one because he's innocent, effectively. Like, he's just trying to get by. And then he's just kind of, forced into a situation where he has to work with, Oswald.
Yeah.
And that goes about as well as you think it would at first. Guy has a real bad stutter, no self-confidence, and he's just kind of thrown, into the deep end of the mob life.
Well, I mean, we come to find out, he's got a homegirl there that he's interested in. I don't even remember what that character's name. It doesn't even really matter at
Not
this point.
particularly important.
But, he kind of had some type of romantic relationship with her, I guess. And
Eve, maybe?
No. Eve was the
and
Stripper.
like that's when they had their like little one-on-one like on the roof or whatever. That's when all the floodgates pretty much open, and they're looking down from the roof, and he sees his family's apartment basically just get flooded and destroyed.
Yeah.
So at that point, like you're pretty much out to fend for yourself at this point, and so you're gonna maybe either try and get yourself up and do what's best for you, or maybe just go down a rabbit hole and start taking rims for some freaking low life motherfucker and
almost get
take
shot
it off
at.
take it off the wrong car apparently.
Wrong place, wrong time. Wrong
Yep.
car. Wrong choice.
Wrong. Well, in the end, it ended up to be a very, very wrong choice.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert, don't be the last one in line if you're running away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Keep running. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Victor, to me, I really enjoyed his character. He definitely is like a redemption kind of vibe that I was gonna get towards the end, except for the very end. I don't know, like since he was at rock bottom once his family was all killed by the flood, right?
Yeah.
And once he was taken under his the Penguin's wing, nothing really. That was
the
good.
visible disappointment I hope got conveyed there. But okay.
Thank you for that.
Oh, boy.
Anywho, yeah, he just took him under his wing and showed him the ropes of the
Add
inner.
crickets here.
All right, somebody else talk
Please
then.
do. I hope you edit some crickets in.
Thank you for that. I lost my train of thought.
Please make that a short. Sorry, Cobb.
Somebody else start talking. I freaking lost my train of thought. Thanks a lot.
Well, so
I liked Vic. I would probably rank him number 3 in terms of like character plots I cared for.
yeah.
So
3 being high or low.
being like I feel like that's
he is the third plot. Like there's only 3 plots.
I know, but like I guess I would rank it Penguin, Sophie, then him. So it's like he did his part, did his role, did his job.
Yeah.
It was good. It wasn't bad. It was good. I feel bad for the kid.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We see him go down the rabbit hole and where it ends up taking him. We'll get to that later on. But we do see him develop more spine as
that was cool to see.
The show kind of goes on. So he's the only one that has, weirdly enough, he's really the only one that has any actual character development because everybody else, like their characters are kind of set in stone.
You don't think Sophie does?
Well, Sophie, we see her character kind of be like the byproduct of 10 years in Arkham.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't really change all that much. She's always just kind of like this bitter, like my family needs to die for what they did to me and my brother kind of mentality. Ever since she gets out, she just has to play it smart.
Yeah.
And she does. She plays the family almost like a fiddle, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Right up to the point of when her brother died, and then the car was taken up to the front of the house there, and they open the trunk and see his fucking body in the trunk. Like she almost resorted back to her craziness from Arkham, if you will.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys enjoy watching Magpie?
Oh, yeah.
Magpie.
I thought it was pretty cool. You didn't like seeing her?
Yeah.
That was always part of the interesting scene because it's like, was Magpie planted by Arkham to try to drive her crazy?
I don't know.
Well, was just Magpie just crazy herself?
I'm pretty sure she whacked him.
Man, I honestly kind of think that she was planted.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part. You don't know. It's a
We
50-50.
don't know, and I think she was planted, and
She got what she ended up deserving. Like, she gets her head bashed in.
Did they ever? We never see Scarecrow, do we?
no.
No.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought.
But,
Is there any other
No.
smaller characters that we bump into?
no. It is all the Penguin. It's like, we do see, like, some mentions of, like, the Riddler. Like, pop back up here and there. But, you know, we know that's come about. And honestly, it's like you wouldn't even know that this was a Batman thing until the very last episode where you see the bat signal.
Yeah.
Literally the
like
last second.
Like the...
You guys hate that? Were you guys a fan of that?
Well, it's just like, okay, man, your city's gone to shit. Where have you been for the last week?
Well, hold on. There was one little tidbit in the last episode. She gets the letters from her
Selena Kyle. Yeah.
half sister,
Half-sister, yeah.
half sister Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only other reference. That's correct.
So that would have been
So remind me again, who gets that letter?
Sophia does.
Sophia.
Sophia. Yeah, when she goes
following.
into Arkham,
Mhm.
and she gets that for Selena Kyle, who is played by Zoe Kravitz and Anne Hathaway, and what's her face from way back in the day, the original Catwoman.
Haley Berry.
No, I guess Halle Berry, sure, but
Halle Berry. Sorry, what did I say? Whatever.
Anyways.
Moving on.
But, yeah, there's a couple of different avenues they could go if they try to do Penguin Season 2, I suppose.
I assume they will. I mean, I feel like it was a pretty big hit.
Yeah, it did well. I
I
think
mean, I'm pretty sure on HBO it's like the top 10 series.
currently.
And it could
like
lead into
currently.
another film. Like, you think that's where it's going?
They're
It's
gonna do
be-
another Batman film
Do you think
with
Penguin's
Robert
going to
Pattinson.
be the criminal, the antagonist?
Who, the Penguin?
Yeah. Do you think they're going to use Colin Farrell for it? I don't see why.
I
Why
mean,
you wouldn't?
dude, I think it'd be interesting. They've already introduced Batman, air quotes,
Yeah.
at the end of the series. So, like, yeah, sure. Why wouldn't they go the Penguin route? I think the Joker's played out. They already
Yeah.
Joker's been done too soon with the
I could see them
Joaquin
doing-
Phoenix stuff.
My prediction is this: I could definitely see them doing another season of the Penguin, and there's plenty of characters that they could throw in, but we still won't see Batman in the series, which is like I'm fine with. Like that, I'm cool with that. But then I also see down the road, if that's still a success, they'll bring Colin Farrell in as the Penguin in a like blockbuster film. Would be my prediction.
Yeah. I just think probably for the sake of how this show has been kind of set up, you probably won't see him. Except for maybe in like a passing shot where we
Won't
see
see
like
who?
Commissioner Gordon or something.
Batman.
he's talking about, yeah, Batman.
Yeah. So that would be my guess. Or my hope as well, I suppose. Like, just kind of keep it the Penguin. Now, that being said, I don't know who else you would bring in now that the Penguin is kind of in charge of people. Maybe you bring in, like, the Scarecrow so you can go down more of the drug route. Or you go, like, Venom, and you get, like, you know, your macho luchador guy that's also on the drug route of things.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different paths they can go, I suppose. Maybe they just go really on the nose and they bring in the Vulture.
They could go that route.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset with that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like as exciting as the Joker or the Riddler.
Well, they did the Riddler.
Right. But the
that was
Vulture,
pretty
I
good.
feel like, is
Don't do the
not,
Joker.
not
Please
as
don't do the
exciting,
Joker.
personal opinion. But I mean, they haven't really brought him in like at all.
Yeah. And just from the recent Joker stuff, anyways, that's a different timeline, different continuality or whatever.
What'd y'all think about the police chief? he was in the Batman movie with Pattinson, but he was also in the series. Y'all know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
He's got a raspy voice. I know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Con O'Neill is his name. Is
Yeah.
Chief McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't really have
He's,
a major role, right? I don't know.
No, but he's kind of useless. The police of Gotham have always been kind of useless. Like that's kind of their
Yeah, man.
point.
Seems like a tough
hold
place
on,
to be a
hold
cop.
on, hold on. Yes, I agree, but the officers, yes, are useless. It's the, the ones in charge, like the police chief and higher ups. They are the ones that are essentially corrupt, right?
Correct.
And so, with where I was going with that was with McKenzie, he was definitely corrupt, but at the same time, he wanted to go after those crime families, essentially.
Sure, and then he ended up getting probably paid off by the Penguin. Be like, hey, Sophia's going to be here at this point in time. She's going to admit to all of this.
I mean,
Send her back to Arkham. Just, not even kill her, because at that point, death is better for her. It's like, send her back to the place that's worse than hell.
I mean, when he showed up to the house there after Sophie essentially just gassed the entire family, like he wasn't ignorant, he wasn't dumb, he knew
what happened.
He knew what happened exactly, and they end up finding the young girl that was out in the greenhouse with her.
Yeah,
and it was like, well, we got this
excuse me
as a potential lead, and that's when she ended up paying her a visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I kind of thought that was heartbreaking, but I kind of want to see her end up being corrupt and killing her.
Actually would have gone after the small child instead of sparing her.
No. Like I'm
He's
saying
talking about
she
the small child, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about her after, like, she visits her in the, I don't know, it's not prison, but like where she's being held, like the adoption home or whatever.
Yeah.
Where Sophia visits her, and then they had their whole conversation. I want to see her grow up and then actually end up going after her and kill her for what she did, because she's young and innocent, doesn't really know entirely what happened, but she is gonna find out, or she does know, but she's just not old enough to figure that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Like have the kid grow up to do a revenge plot.
Yeah. I think that'd
get
be
what you
interesting. Like, do like 10 years from now, and she's she's probably like 10 in that
Maybe, yeah.
scene or whatever. So she's 20 years old. She's out to fucking get her. So fuck it, why not?
Yep.
That'd be interesting. I'd watch that.
Yep. But man, a lot of things do kind of go awry for all parties involved in this show, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure.
Like definitely like at the midway point, like after we get the backstory for like, okay, this is how they treat people in Arkham. We get all this and that from the Penguin. We see him and Eve kind of have like their relationship kind of get strained due to all the craziness that's happened recently with the flood walls breaking and all the murders in the Falcons.
Yeah.
But we eventually get to, I guess, the driving plot point of the end of the season, which is the new drug that they've been working on, right? That they managed to smuggle out of Arkham.
Yep.
At least that's what they allude to, that this is the same sort of medicine that they give to the inmates.
Yeah.
Which is wild to think about, that they got anything out of Arkham. But then again, Arkham is also like one of the easiest places to break out of.
Yep.
If you know what you're doing.
Easier than Azkaban, Jake.
Easier than Azkaban. You heard it here first.
And what was that drug, Kenny?
Oh, what was it called? Bliss?
Yep.
Okay.
Bliss.
Yeah. And it was just like, like, heroin on like an extreme, something like that, right?
Yeah, let's go with that. Sure. But what I don't get, I don't know, this is just a personal opinion, but I'm sure you all feel the same. But going back to the earlier drug in the series, they were doing drops, right? And they freaking just, basically like eye drops, essentially.
Yeah.
I would not get behind that whatsoever. I don't even like doing, eye drops just to clear my eyes, essentially, or even going to the doctors and they have to put, eye drops in.
Mm-hmm.
But like doing that to get some kind of high, that sounds terrible.
All right. Well, you see, that's why they were working on getting something new made.
Right.
Something that was easily accessible.
Something a little more blissful.
So we get a reaction out of that, but my my comment earlier.
I can throw some crickets here too. Don't worry.
Now it's too late.
Anyways, but we also see like this is where Victor like really kind of starts getting like a lot more self-confidence. Like he's starting to kind of believe in himself. But then his girl is giving him the offer of like, hey, let's leave Gotham. Let's go to California. Let's our lives here are done. It quite literally got washed away and died.
Bro effed up, man.
He had a chance to leave.
He had his chance.
And the crazy thing is that he does leave. Like he goes to like the Greyhound station and watches her leave, which is heartbreaking. But then at that point, it's just like he doubles down with Oz.
Yeah.
He's gonna regret that. Yeah, dude. When he's at the club, when he has the backpack and he's distributing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that after pretty much, or is that the same episode?
It's the same episode.
Same episode.
Before he goes in the car.
Yeah, like, dude, why stick around, man? Like, I would just, pass that off onto some other fuckface, essentially, and like, here, you distribute this shit, I'm gonna fucking bounce. Like, dude, he's not gonna freaking send somebody out to freaking Los Angeles to kill you. I don't think he would. I would call his bluff on that, but maybe no, he's not that powerful. Like, he's just the Penguin. He's not like the Maloney's or Falcones, where they can send somebody to go take care of business.
Yes.
Yeah, I interpret it more as there was more to that story with Vic. Like, at first he felt kind of trapped, like, oh man, but then I feel like his girlfriend or friend or whoever she is kind of like, oh, we can definitely get away. And so I think he bought into that. I think it was more of like he felt the Penguin was becoming more of a father figure or like family figure to him. And as Kenny kind of mentioned before, he was building his confidence up a little bit. So I think there was more to the story of why he stuck around. But
yeah, it was like I agree with you there. At first, it was definitely like, oh, if I leave, he's just going to murder me. I don't want to die. I'm going to help him. And
but
then,
it's tempting, right?
Tempting.
The temptation to like stick around and fight through the mud because on the other end is some glory and wealth and whatever,
Yeah.
Less crap. Like you're instead of being underneath the crap, you're standing on top of the crap, right? Mentality. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I get it.
I would have left.
I probably would have left too.
But
the whole situation sounds horrible.
We see him make his decision, and we get probably one of the more interesting scenes, I think, is he comes back and saves both Sophia and Oz from the
Maloney's.
Yeah, the Maloney's by driving the car into the guy.
Yeah, into one of their sidekicks, not sidekicks, one of their soldiers,
henchmen.
Henchmen, yeah.
And
good for him though. Like, shit, like you just get in the car and you see some shit going down. They're freaking on their knees at gunpoint essentially, and he's just like, fuck it, just drives right into him and pins the dude between his car and, was it a van, I guess?
Van wall. Either way, he's dead, most likely.
I mean, that's the first dude he killed.
Yep.
Well,
Squid. Well, that's later on.
Well, we don't know if the guy that he hits with the car actually dies. He's just thoroughly incapacitated because he just had both his legs crushed by a moving car.
Not just any moving car, Kenny. The Penguin's car.
The Penguin's car.
Yeah, he
the
freaking just
Penguin-mobile.
wrecked it, man. Like,
Penguin. Is that what it's called?
No, but
Is there a
it
name?
might
In
have
the
a
comic
name.
book, does it have a name?
It might. I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know.
I
Moving
don't,
on.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Victor definitely was able to get his life together more so and move his way up and got, trust from Oz and even some other characters. But
Can I talk about my critique now, which is more focused on the ending, or do you guys want me to wait?
hold on.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
I got episode 6 right now.
I want to jump on Johnny
Not
Bitty.
rushing. I'm just making sure.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I didn't care for his character. So
Really?
Go on with Johnny. Vitti.
No, tell me what you didn't like about Johnny Bitty.
That's the one casting choice that just felt off to me.
You don't think Michael Kelly was a good...
It's nothing personal. Like, it's nothing personal.
Was a good mobster?
But I just, like, I picture... Yeah, like, I know Michael Kelly from different films and series. Like, for example, he's in
House of Cards.
House of Cards. I was like, it just doesn't... Like, it was hard for me to connect, like, picture him in that role.
But he was also kind of like a bad guy, essentially.
In House of
Does
Cards.
dirty work in
Yeah,
House
I
of
know.
Cards.
I
So,
know.
and in this series,
It was fine. It was fine. I just thought...
no.
it was a little
You
off.
have a gripe with him. Fucking let us know. Tell us.
He did an okay job. It was fine. I really liked how Sophie ended it. I thought that was hilarious.
It's just like, we need to talk. And then, like, literally, in the next 15 minutes, he gets shot in the head in the next episode.
Well, hold on.
I thought that was hilarious because he was like, "Oh no,
back up.
you're my
No.
boss now. I love you." And then, like, all of a sudden, he's like, "Well, we need to talk about this." And she's
It's
like,
like,
"Okay, shut the f up."
Wait.
All right.
Pause.
sorry.
Flag on the play. Let's back up a little bit. All right. So he's in the house. The window is propped open, so everyone in the house gets gas except for him. She literally goes into every room, makes sure that everybody is dead. Goes into his room. He's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Hey, we gotta talk, homie." So he freaking takes him into the freaking, I don't even know, like in the cemetery in some freaking crematorium, or where it's basically dark and cold, essentially, right? And ties him up and freaking.
It was the family grave.
Right. So it's obviously dark and cold down there, and he's clearly uncomfortable, and so she dumps water on him essentially to make him worse.
It ain't water.
Was it not water? What was it?
Pretty sure it was gasoline.
Oh, was it gasoline? Anyway, it was a freaking liquid, and you're already down there, you're cold, and you're miserable, so that only amplified it essentially. And so they kind of like a heart to heart, air quotes, and he's like, "All right, I'll back you up, whatever." Then they all come together, all the crime families of different parts of the town, and they all come into that room, and she basically gives her spiel and throws a giant bag of money on the ground or on the table.
Well, this is after
After the fact of when Johnny Vitti freaking was like, "Hold on, that's not what we blah blah blah." She freaking shoots him in the head, then dumps the money onto
bag
the
of
freaking
money,
table. Right? Did anybody else notice that a lot of that money was now covered in blood and people are still reaching for it? I was like, dude, no, I don't want.
You can't use.
You
any
can't
of that.
use that now.
You can
cannot.
wash it off. You get money wet, right?
Blood's a little bit different than
It's
getting
stained
water.
red, man. You can't wash out that shit.
Yeah, they're mobsters. You guys worry too much.
I mean, you're right, but still, it's
Go
the
stick
principle
it.
of the
Go
matter.
stick it in a vending machine.
Fair enough.
Or a Coke machine. Okay. Yes. All right. So, yeah, sure, Johnny Vitti really didn't really have that big of a impact in the series.
His ending was the greatest ever.
I
Like,
mean,
we need to talk. She's like, okay, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very subtle, like, boom, like done. It was like, all right, who wants to join me?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh yeah. At that point, I think we also have Cobb trying to deal with the Maloney's. The Maronis, the Maloney's,
Maloney's.
Maloney's, and dealing with the son and the mother both at the same time, while also getting all of the drugs, getting like the big stash, so to speak, and just the sheer glee that you almost see, like his like devilish glee that he has watching the two burn alive. That was a really great scene, well shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely was like, something's about to fucking go down when he's wet, soaking wet, and then she's like, "What is that smell?" And then you see him. Was it a cigarette? Or
It was a lighter.
it was a lighter. Oh yeah, it's a Zippo. That's right.
Mhm.
And he freaking just chucks it, and they freaking both burst into flames. I was like, "Oh shit, that was badass."
Yeah, like the crazy thing is that you get the close up of him watching them. The two burning bodies are off screen. You can hear them screaming, burning to death. But you also see like the glow of them on fire on the character's face, on Oz's face,
and his eyes.
and his eyes, and he's just kind of blankly staring. And he does that for like a good like 30, 40 seconds, like in the show. And then I guess the fire alarms and the fire suppression system kind of kicks in,
Yeah.
and proceeds to ruin everyone's day.
Including Oz. I'm surprised you really didn't think that one through, though, right? Because doesn't he destroy most of his product?
Yeah, it destroys all but one, right? One or two buckets?
Yeah.
So he's able to recoup, granted, but this is after it. He has to take some time to try to find like a proper spot for mushrooms to grow. And as we find out,
He goes underground.
he goes underground into the sewers. And the crazy thing is we see the same like set of sewers that I guess him and his brothers used to kind of play in, so to speak, kind of explore when they were younger.
And let's transition to that
Yes,
lovely day.
Yeah, fateful day.
Take it over, Kenny. What do you got?
Okay, so we're back in the day. We got a young Oz. I don't know the two brothers' names, but that's not really important.
Not really. Who cares?
They're trying to play a hide and seek, and they go into the sewers to just kind of fuck around because, you know, kids exploring. And it's a really bad day to be in a floodwater system because it begins to rain.
A lot.
A lot. And Oz, being the family crippled, is just like, no, fuck you guys. I'm not going to go down there. I can't climb up and down these things because of my foot. Y'all are just fucking with me. Y'all always pick on me. F off. I'm leaving. He leaves and locks the door behind him.
And goes spends time with Mama.
Go spend time with Mama.
Meanwhile, the entire chamber
Fills up with
begins
water.
to fill with water and floods, and those two siblings end up drowning.
Yes.
Ha!
Which leads to what we discover being the beginning of the sort of trauma that his mother has been kind of withholding all these years. We haven't talked much about the mom character.
Nope.
How do we feel about Frances Cobb?
Well, man, in the beginning of the series, you know, I saw that she was a trouble woman, and she had, you know, what was that disease called?
Dementia.
But they called it something else. Anyway, so she was obviously a trouble woman. She had dementia, and no, I get that. You know, if your mom's not doing too hot and you want to take care of her, you're gonna do everything you can. 100%. I would do that with my family, and I would assume that you all would do that with yours. But when you're in a particular role, such as the Penguin, in a mobster scene, you kind of want to just keep her in a close but far off distance so that,
Yeah.
she doesn't get
Killed.
killed
Yeah.
or targeted, essentially.
Well, he had done a good job in making everybody believe that she had been dead for years.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Yeah, like I thought he played his part with that, and that was very convincing until obviously, Victor ends up
getting
with
kind
her,
of thrown
and
into
then
the
Sophia,
situation,
she ends up finding where their little safe house, if you will, is, and so she ends up taking her captive and really kind of dives into like everything with her regarding her son, and that's how we end up finding her past traumas and how she ends up, resenting her son because of what he had did to her children.
Yeah. That also brings in, I guess, another mention of a character we haven't talked a whole lot about, but Dr. Rush.
Yeah,
Theo.
Yeah.
Other than the dude's a creep.
Oh, he's into some weird shit.
Yeah.
But we get that early on in episode 4 where we see him being like fascinated with Sophia when he's stuck in Arkham and his kind of power trip that he goes on.
Yeah.
But then we see him end up becoming like her like right hand man, so to speak.
Sort of, yeah. And it was very
What you
interesting.
do for love. What you do for love, Kenny.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna go into. Was when she was in Arkham and he assisted in the, I don't know, for lack of a better word, torture, I guess, of her, electroshock therapy and that kind of shit. It's weird. They end up having some, I don't know, would you call it like a Stockholm syndrome kind of a
like
thing?
Stockholm, but he's also like the first one where he's just like, well, what if she's telling the truth? But then the other guy's just like, the Falcones have paid us quite a bit of money to make sure that she stays in here.
Right.
So
like it's kind of fucked up. So then later on we see that he ends up he quit, right? And so they just kind of bonded essentially after that, and like you said, becomes like her right hand man, and that's when the mom was ended up being captured, and he used his
like psychoanalyzes her.
Yeah, essentially, and uses like strobe lights, and was able to dig down into her memory and recall things and that kind of stuff, whatever. And I was just like, whoa, would that work on me?
I mean, if you have some sort of deep childhood trauma, maybe. Anyways,
we're not gonna go down that route. Hopefully, my mom didn't see this episode. Yeah, so yeah, it was a weird relationship. It was a weird dynamic between the two. What ended up happening to him?
Well, at the very end, he ends up going back to work for Arkham, and is once again overseeing Sophia. That is his ultimate
he's the
end.
one that brought in the letter.
But he's kind of the last real interaction we get with him is like his kind of analysis of Penguin's mom.
Oh, Francis.
Yeah, Francis. That's his last big kind of interaction, because they end up getting split off, and then we get like the final scene where where Oz and Sophia are at the pier or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's really where his character just kind of goes. Like, he's just always attached to Sophia in like some weird way, except for like the one moment where it like really mattered, which is her getting captured again and getting sent back.
Yeah.
Well, he gets his old job back, right? So,
well, yeah.
Imagine if this is season 2, there'll be some type of him.
We just see Sophia like rocking back and forth in a room.
Yeah, I mean, dude's a creep.
Yeah.
Don't know what else to say about it.
Maybe he'll or she'll be rocking back and forth, or
I assume she's getting out, right? If they have season 2, I'm sure.
well,
she's
that's
gonna
what
play a
I'm thinking.
role.
Like either she's gonna get out, or she kind of just like takes over the prison. Comes
Like
that
she's
person.
just like another influential person in the prison that people don't fuck with.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we haven't gotten, they hadn't shown off the part of Arkham that is like the super criminally insane for like all of like the weirdos.
Yeah.
Like your Jokers, your like Crocodile, your oh, I forget his name, but he stabs a lot of people.
Stabby.
Sure, we'll call him Stabby. It's like a bunch of CYs and X's, and he has like every time he like kills somebody and shanks them, he carves like a number, like a tally mark on himself.
I'm not familiar, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe you.
He's a weirdo. He shows up in a lot of the other medias, but
Oh my God. Side note, I now know why you're wearing that shirt, Kenny.
it's a penguin shirt.
Continue on. Sorry, that connected I just connected the dots there.
Yes, people getting stabbed somehow connected the dots. Anyways,
Well, you're doing the motion of like the tally mark motion. I was like, oh, it's a penguin. Oh, we're talking about the penguin. I was like, oh. My bad.
Anyways, okay,
Moving
last 2 episodes.
Some shit goes down, man.
Shit goes down. We see
They establish their business underground, right?
the.
And so that's when they're able to distribute the product, their new product, and that is somehow interrupted with Sophia and all their bullshit.
Yeah, they end up figuring it out. We're like, okay, like they're getting this product everywhere without being seen. How the best way to do that is through an underground subway system, and lo and behold, that's where they are. We see that Sal goes down with his boys.
I mean, do you guys feel like that was a little too much plot armor for the penguin?
Oh,
Like,
the
how does he
fact that
lose
he
that
dies
fight?
of a heart attack?
Yeah, like how does he lose that fight? I'm not talking about specifically Sal and the Penguins fight, but like the Maloney's and the Falcones and all that. It seemed like they went down there guns a-blazing and caught him off guard. So I was like, I don't know how.
Well, that's what the bomb was.
I don't know. That just still.
Okay, moving ahead. After the penguin and him end up fighting, and he has a heart attack, and you know, you got Oz standing above him, like talking all kinds of shit, and just to make sure, he shoots him a couple times, and he freaking bounces, whatever.
Yep.
And that's when the bomb essentially blows up. Is he's on the phone with.
The bomb gets delivered like later on. Be like, okay, I'm going to assume Sal fucked up.
Yeah. So the whole shitty part of Gotham, what do they call it? Fuck, I don't remember. Essentially, that part of town was blown to fucking hell, right?
Yep.
And God, like, there's a lot of damage. Obviously, I'm sure there's a death toll of just a lot.
Yeah, most of his crew at that point were, I guess, survivors of like that area. And they make a big point to being like, hey, man, you brought hope back to this area. It's like, yeah.
Even turn the lights back on.
You turn the lights back on.
Yeah.
And then everything goes up in smoke.
Yep. So that's when he decided to go that route of, I don't know, like what was your all's take when he ended up going into the government building and talking to the one senator, and it's like, this could be yours and that kind of whole thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're in that official chamber, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he now going to try and run for office? Like, what was your all's take with that?
He has in the comics tried to run for like mayor and stuff of Gotham.
Okay, so that's
so
the
that's
route.
not
it's coming
entirely
not toward
impossible,
that.
but
I interpret it as him evolving. So before he was kind of just a driver, and it becomes kind of a henchman, and then he becomes, manager of one of the drug routes or whatever. So it's like his next step in the evolvement.
It's just
of
like,
all
he's
right,
now threatening the politics.
Yeah. So like before he was kind of underground and hiding, but now he's so bold and confident that like, hey, I'm coming to light, man. And I'm going down to Metro Hall and
Going down to City Hall.
And like I'm gonna go talk to these corrupt senators. Like I'm gonna get my way in broad daylight now. So I took it more as like his evolution as a criminal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I kind of like that too. That's the better explanation. I think it's mostly driven by the fact that, okay, his mother is there and he wants to make things comfortable. So how do I make things comfortable for her while making it look good for me?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's what ends up happening there. But then we get the whole bit of the mother getting caught, getting,
Basically tortured.
probed, all of the dirty laundry comes up, and then we get the big scene where Oz and Vic have to go save Mama Francis.
Yeah.
And that confrontation.
Yeah. He's tied up in a chair.
Yeah.
Oz is.
Yeah, the confrontation is entirely one-sided for the majority of it. How they managed to fuck that up, I don't understand.
So that's another one. It's like the plot armor. I was like, come on, really?
But
how do you get out of that one?
We see years.
If you don't mind me jumping in just
Go ahead.
real quick. So that whole scene of where Sophia is basically like antagonizing the Penguin and trying to get Mom to, admit all of that to her son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that entire scene essentially just reminded me of, the Mountain and the Viper from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You had the fucking Mountain beat, dude. Like, he is on the ground and you're just freaking antagonizing him. That's when he freaking trips you and freaking, like, squeezes out your eyes and squeezes your brain and basically everything just freaking explodes. That's essentially what happened in that scene. Like, you're antagonizing, and the whole scene basically just does not go the direction that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? Yeah, maybe an argument could be made that that's good writing, but also another route, that's just shit writing.
Yeah, it was a little too
Or
much
plot armor, like
it
you
was a little
said.
too much plot armor. It didn't really match her character either. Because like before, like what we were just talking about, like with Johnny V, like she gave him a chance and then
No,
he
she
screwed her over.
He
And then he's
fucking
like,
shot her.
and then just immediately
Or
she shot him.
shot
Like,
him.
So I'm like, what are we doing here? It's like, but I don't know. I guess after hearing you explain it, Colin, I guess I kind of see it. Like she's been through so much.
So why drag it out? Why not just fucking get her to admit that? Boom, done. Kill both of them. Done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Plot armor.
This season has to season, I guess. I think it's mostly that Sophia wanted Oz to admit that he had lost. I think was her driving force there.
He's not the type of character to do that. Like
That's the point. That's why it's more satisfying.
So that's why
to
that
get
scene
out of
kind
him.
of works out the way it did.
Yeah, that's how I see it. She wants to get him to admit the one thing that he's been fighting this entire show and most of his life, according to the show, being like, okay, you're a fraud, you're nothing, you're nobody, all of this and that. It's like not even your mother loves you. You are worse than the worst of the worst here, but I need you to hit that low because as it's kind of alluded to, he's might have been the one responsible for sending her to Arkham in the first place. Working alongside her dad back in the day. And Sophia wants Oz to just hit that low point.
Yep.
And that's why it ends up looking like plot armor.
Yeah.
Because she drags it out because she wants to.
Yeah.
Well, as it turns out, doesn't really work out for her in the long run.
No. but we get Frances finally admit that she's known all along.
She's known all along, and she had a plan to basically have the mobster dude from back in the day. I forget what that character.
It was like Rex or something. It's not important.
Some fuckface mobster dude to basically just
kill a kid,
take him for a walk,
take him.
We're going to the park.
Do it old fucking Yeller style,
right?
And that didn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's when I guess the Penguin kind of gets his revenge and, maps out this whole plan to basically get Sophia back into Arkham. Because she doesn't really care if she, I guess, dies, essentially.
Yeah. It's like she almost prefers it.
But no, what's worse than that?
Going back to Arkham.
To do kind of what you did to me, your worst fears. It's not dying. It's actually going back to what you hated for years. And so that's where you're going now.
Yep.
And that's when the corrupt Chief Mackenzie shows up, which, by the way, I don't know if y'all saw the Chernobyl series, but he's also in that. Just
he is.
Side note. But yeah, he basically arrests her and takes her back. So.
Yep. And then we start getting like the last moments of the show where we have one final moment between Vic
and the Penguin
and
Oz.
Oz.
Man, can you imagine? Like, dude, I literally saw this happening. I saw it coming.
It was coming.
Because it was like, that's exactly how I would want to do it. Like, I'm just sitting there sipping some whiskey or whatever. I'm just talking to this,
talking to your homie,
and like, here, why don't you kill it? Like the last little bit. Like, that's something you do as a mobster, or I've seen a lot of movies, and that's exactly what happens in all of those films. Like, here, why don't you kill this, so you at least have a buzz before I'm about to literally strangle you.
Yeah, but it's the idea that throughout this entire show, they make a point to saying that like family is like what matters in all of this, but no, Oz is just like family is what makes people weak.
Yeah.
Despite my clear, mama issues. Yeah. But,
we all have family issues. It is what it is.
But, it's just like family as a whole is just messy. And he realized that. So that's why he just ends up working with like a bunch of like henchmen underlings instead of having an entire mob family.
Yeah. Did anybody else kind of like chuckle though? Or maybe there's something wrong with me, but like after he ended up, strangling Victor, he falls down to the ground essentially.
Just takes the ID.
He just takes out his wallet, takes a wad of cash, puts it in his pocket, takes the ID, and then chucks it into the river.
Yeah, the $1,000 that he got that week for work, and just chucks the ID into the lake.
I'm just like, dude, that was cold and badass, but more so cold.
Just like, man.
It's nothing personal, kid.
Poor Vic.
It's just business, I guess.
It brings me to my critique, and like that ending was, I saw it coming. Like I knew it was coming.
There's no fanfare to it.
Yeah, like this is my personal opinion. Like the show was great, the casting was good. It was entertaining. I would definitely watch season 2. But I can't say that. I guess like it's clever to see it from the perspective of the antagonist, like the criminal, the Penguin. Like it's clever, but I can't say it's my cup of tea. Does that make sense? Like the entire time I was like, man, this is a little too bleak, a little too dark.
Sure.
Like a little too depressing.
Well, it's that same kind of level of just like, you got to think about it that like the original like Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker film was, where it's like, okay, this is a critique of other things going on, like, mental health issues and all that.
Yeah.
But like this one is like a clear critique of like, political corruption and like, how society lets people fall through the cracks and, what people end up having to do in order to survive.
Yeah. Like I get it. But I don't know. Just from after finishing the entire season, I was like, man, It was a lot. Like, it was a lot. And I think I left the final episode, especially after he killed Vic. I was like, man, I just, like, what a roller coaster. And it was just a little too bleak, a little too cold and dark and grim and depressing for me to, like, really walk away. I'm like, oh, man, what an amazing show. Where it's like, the one, I'm so grateful. And, like, maybe this makes me sound like a little bitch. I don't know. But, like, I'm so grateful at the very end. I love seeing the bat signal. Like, I almost needed that. I was like, okay.
It's
like,
the one thing to remind you that this is Gotham.
Yeah. Like,
because otherwise, this is just, like, a mob film.
Yeah. So, it's like, it was a great series. But the entire time, I was thinking, and all the way till the very end, I was like, this is depressing shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I don't know. So I don't know if you guys had similar vibes and thoughts at the end, or maybe you guys just didn't really care. You're like, I don't know. I was here for the ride, and it was a good time, and it is what it is. So, and that's fair enough. Like, I get it, but I was like, man, after that, I was like, I'm on Team Batman.
Yeah, but
like,
here's the thing: the Penguin won. He got his penthouse for his mom. He got to have the weird scene of them dancing, which may or may not have been him.
Weird, by the way.
Weird, yes, but it, it's not clear whether or not he's dancing with a comatose body or if that's just a hallucination. So,
but no, like I hear what you're saying, Jake, and that's fair. But me, I don't know. Maybe I'm the fucked up one, but like watching a series like that is dark, that is grim, that is bleak, as you're saying. Like those series, I feel like there's not enough of those nowadays.
No, so I completely understand why they wrote it, why they created it. Like, I'm sure there is not necessarily a market for it, but like I'm sure there is like an itch for for something like I want to see. And the best way I could compare it to was, I can't remember which series it was, but there was one episode in like Boba Fett or Mandalorian where they kind of viewed it as Andor, where they viewed it as from the perspective of the stormtroopers. So like, there is some cleverness behind it, and I have a lot of respect for it. But then I was like, I could see why people stick to maybe the protagonist or having the roller coaster, but in the end, the good guys win. And be like, man, I love that series. Like, this dude is a complete evil dirtbag.
Yes.
And it was just like straight up depressing. It was
he's
like,
an evil dirtbag,
shit.
but he is sane.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, he's not like insane like the Joker or like any of the other people that are, as I was describing earlier, like comically Saturday morning cartoon evil.
Yeah, like I think he's sane and he has a level of intelligence to him, but like in terms of like ethics and morality, and I was like, this guy is like, I don't think it exists.
Well, no, it's like he realized it don't exist. Where like after Vic had earlier shot a guy in the neck, he goes up and comforts him and being like, it gets easier. And it's just like, oh God. Like,
so that was my one big critique of the show. Everything else was, it was a great show. It was fun to watch. It was entertaining. And there was a lot of good character development. But my one critique of it was like, after the end, I was like, I walked away a little depressed.
Just like, huh.
Interesting. It's like when you watch a series that's not going that dark route, but like kind of like almost too real, like that applies to like today's like life, human life, essentially. Like you kind of get like, wow, that's too real, like that literally just happened to me last week, or that kind of vibe. Like those kind of series, those kind of movies, that's the shit like we should be watching. We should be not manifesting, but like just acknowledging like that shit fucking happens, and so we need to be aware, be nice to one another, that kind of vibe. Otherwise, we do go down that path of being evil and freaking, shooting dudes in the neck or strangling a kid on a bench or whatever.
And then stealing his money afterwards.
And stealing his money.
It's more the insult after the injury.
Right, like kick somebody while they're down. Like that shit is applied to everyday life in real life today. Like, and it's fucked up. And so that's why I appreciate those types of shows, or even like the shows where like a zombie apocalypse happens, like The Last of Us. Like, maybe something like that. in a way could happen. Maybe not exactly like some kind of fungus freaking basically corrupting our minds and turning us into zombies. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like, that shit, like, fictional stuff that can be applied to everyday life. I appreciate that. That's a short right there.
Fair enough. You had to point it out, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Closing thought. I hope there's a season 2. I don't know if they've announced one. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
yeah, I definitely deserves it. Or if anything, I want them to do more in this universe where, like, maybe instead of like Gotham, they actually go to like Metropolis. We see like Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Like we see like the white collar side of things.
Interesting. That would be, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But then that
New cast, of course. New cast.
No,
but
yes, but like, I don't know. That would kind of open a can of worms of like, they've already kind of gone this route, and it hasn't. Just for DC, it hasn't really worked out from the like multiverse kind of thing. If
sure.
you will.
It's like,
Whereas Marvel, they're struggle bus hard right now with that. So like with the DC universe, if they did cross that bridge, if you will, into going, I don't know.
it wouldn't even need to be like a multiverse thing.
Well, no, but like bringing in characters
Right.
from other.
Or I guess like a multiple like Avengers style kind of setup. All it would need to be is that, okay, these two areas exist within like this particular timeline. So we can go into Lex doing all of his, like random bullshit that he gets up to.
So
but we wouldn't have to have Superman show up in it.
So you're basically talking about just the everyday dude, not superhero kind of thing. So basically the Lex Luthor versus the Penguin, and see how that clashes.
Well, I guess how they would clash as like shows, because the only thing that's realistically different between Metropolis and Gotham is that one is like all of like the bright shininess, and the other one is like the grim dark.
Yeah,
But there's always like that seedy criminal background.
Sure.
It's just that on the Metropolis side, it's very much more political. It's a lot more like money based, while Gotham has always been kind of like your seedy, like criminal underground kind of scene.
Mm-hmm.
So we would instead trade, like your mobsters for like corrupt politicians, basically.
So let me see if I'm understanding you correctly. Would you watch a series that is basically just called Luthor? Well, there already is a series
There's
called
several,
Lex Luthor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, would you watch that series of how he became him, essentially?
Probably, if they gave it the same sort of respect and tone that the Penguin got, I think I would.
Interesting. I probably would too. I'm not saying I wouldn't. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Lex Luthor, to me, just since we're just talking about him,
Sure.
doesn't really give me that Penguin vibe. Or, I'm more interested, I guess it's fair to say, I'm more interested in the Penguin or the Joker or the Riddler than
Sure.
anything Superman related.
Right. Now, I guess the one thing that does tie Lex down is that he is stuck to his obsession with Superman. Like, that is like his problem that we later find out. The Penguin is all out in it for the money, baby. He wants that control.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think there's going to be season 2. I think the most likely scenario is if Colin Farrell wants to do it again.
They'll give it to him.
I think, I haven't heard anything to the contrary, but I think he had a good time doing the show.
So, I think it probably relies a lot on him, and if he's has the interest level, I think they made enough money, had enough interest and positive vibes that they'll do something.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. My predictions is obviously, like y'all are saying, there has to be a season 2. but I'm very much intrigued on the direction they are going to go. Or are they going to introduce other well-known characters into the series, rather they have a minor or major role?
Yeah.
That is an interesting take. I'm excited for it.
Sure.
So yeah, I really, really hope they go for a season 2. And
That'd be like where you bring in like your Catwoman. You maybe bring in like the only other mobster character being like Two-Face. Harvey Dent. We get a Harvey Dent comeback, but he's also been kind of played out a little bit.
No, not as no. I would
not as
disagree
bad
with
as the Joker.
It was only the Dark Knight, really, that Two-Face was even mentioned, really, except for like in the comic books. Yeah, sure, but
yeah. So that's an avenue. But yeah,
that'd be interesting for sure.
It'd be interesting for sure. Season 2, I just hope they do it.
Well, Jake, where can people find us if they're interested in listening to more of this material?
We're on all the good sites. You get your podcasts, so we're probably on there. YouTube's a big one. Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Give us a like, give us a follow, hit that subscribe. Let us know how you feel about any of our episodes. And if you have any suggestions, please feel free to shoot us a DM. Otherwise, everybody have a great year. It's 2025 now, and look forward to what we come up with this year.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody.
See you, bye.